Welcome back to the Owen Handy Show. I am Herald Bulletin Sports Editor George Bremer, and we're joined again by Anderson University men's basketball coach Owen Handy. Coach, thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
One thing when I talk with a lot of coaches across a lot of different sports, you hear again and again, is that sometimes success is as difficult to deal with as adversity. And so here you are coming off two big wins, two 100-point games. How do you manage expectations now at this point?
That's a great question. It's one of the challenges, in terms of dealing with success is not getting caught up in what other people tell you. And we'll talk about this as a team before we practice it, when we go through our scouting report. Everybody I talk to right now tells me how good we are. And I appreciate that. I mean, it means that people are like our team, they're invested in our success, they want to see us do well. But if I'm going to be really blunt, most of them don't really know what they're talking about. By which I mean they see the final score, they see the fact that they had fun at our game, but they're not watching the game to see what are we doing wrong, what do we need to get better at, that sort of a thing. So on the one hand, you appreciate the affirmation. And as a team, we should be thankful that we've got fans and supporters and people who come out to the games who wish us well and who want us to do well and are pleased with our progress. On the other hand, we can't listen too much to that. We've got to make sure that we are the barometer of our own success. So part of it is being able to tune out what everybody tells you walking around campus and listen to the voices that matter. Videotape is one of those voices, right? Being able to watch ourselves and evaluate ourselves. And our own voices matter. The players listening to the coaches when we talk about, we won by X amount, we hung 104 points, but here's something we need to get better at. The veterans, the guys who have been through it, saying, hey, listen, you've got to put that win in a box, put it on the shelf, enjoy it, but move on from it.
Yeah, absolutely. And specifically dealing with Saturday's game, 104-79 win over Wilberforce. I know these opponents aren't necessarily people that are on TV, so maybe some fans don't know what they've done in the past, but this Wilberforce team had a pretty good resume coming in here, had a big win over a Division II team. How did you rate that game overall?
I was really, really pleased with how we played in the first half. Obviously, as you mentioned, Wilberforce knocked off Kentucky State. I think it was last week, 2 weeks ago, who just played a 4-point game with IUPUI. They had a big win over a Brescia team that's receiving votes in the NAIA poll. So, they came in. I was pretty impressed with them coming into the game. And if you had told me before the game one team would have been ahead by 23 at the half, I don't know if I would have picked us. So obviously I was really pleased with that. I thought we played about as well in the first half as any team I've coached here in 4 years. We handled their pressure really well. I thought we did a great job of exploiting our advantage situations in transition in the half court. We worked for great shots, and there's a balance there to be found between being patient and working for great shots and taking great shots when they're available to you. And I thought we did a really good job of taking great shots the whole first half. And defensively, there were stretches where I thought we were really good. We helped well, we denied passes, and I think, frustrated some of the stuff they wanted to do. So a lot of positives out of the first half. The second half, I didn't think we played as well. Now, part of that was they made some adjustments. We clearly fatigued some with the amount of pressure that they were putting on. But a real positive out of knowing that they're going to counterpunch, knowing that they're going to make a run. A good team like that isn't going to just go away. And the fact that we were able to weather that storm and defend our lead, pleased with all of that. So there aren't a whole lot of negatives, to be honest, coming out of that game. So part of it is staying focused on getting better as a team rather than being content with a win.
I know a lot of folks are going to look at the scoreboard. Obviously, 104 points jumps right out at you. 15 three-pointers jumps right out at you. But I thought you were really active and had a lot of energy on defense. How important was that in the flow of the game?
Yeah, I think that was a big part of it. When we were able to, I thought we scored at a consistent clip the whole game. When we were able to sort of establish our first half lead was probably mid to late in the half. I thought we really did a good job of locking up defensively. We played a style that not a lot of teams play, in the sense that our guards who are one pass away are in the passing lane trying to freeze the basketball, trying to keep teams from easily reversing the ball. whereas most teams take that defender and put him on what's called the gap, meaning it's easy to make a pass around the perimeter. And part of the reason we do that is because it can be uncomfortable for teams to play against. It can feed the tempo that we want to play at. And I think there was a stretch in the first half where we really did a good job of getting to passing lanes, kept them from reversing the ball. And when you can't reverse the basketball, you end up driving it into a set defense. And it actually makes it easier to help. You've got farther to recover on the weak side of the floor, but if we've frozen the basketball, it makes it easier to help because that help defender is settled and able to attack the basketball early. And I would say there was a stretch in the first half where we did that as well as we have in my 4 years here.
Was Cole Hartman a big part of that? I know you were really happy with the way he got to help defense.
Yeah, I think Cole and Brett Anderson both did a really good job. One of the things that's difficult to learn, Brett does well and Cole is learning, is that when you help, you've got to disengage from your man. You've got to give up the this is my man mentality and do what the team needs you to do, which is defend the basketball, and then trust your teammates to rotate and take your man away. And building that trust takes time, especially, again, because we extend so far out away from the hoop. You've got farther to cover to get back to where you need to be to cover that help the helper, right? It takes longer to help the helper. And so it takes more trust and more confidence for helpers to go confidently and know their teammate's going to get there. And I would say that, to me, was the thing I was most pleased with. I thought Cole and Brett both helped really confidently. And for the most part, our second rotation, the guy helping the helper, got there.
Offensively, Nathaniel Acree, obviously, you know what he can do. You've seen him here for a couple of years now, but 9 3-pointers, ties a school record. Was that as good a night as he's had shooting since he's been a Raven?
Yeah, I would say so. Obviously, he came out and we ran a couple sets to him early and he made shots. And he's a guy who you can defend perfectly and still not eliminate his shot. We talk a lot defensively about the fact that contesting against great shooters, contesting shots isn't enough. You have to keep them from shooting. And Nathaniel is a guy who's really, really hard to keep from shooting because he's got such a unique motion and he elevates so well into his shot. So he's tireless. I mean, he moves really well without the ball. He never stops. But once he catches it, it's really, really hard to keep him from shooting the ball because of his mechanics, which are unique and for people who haven't watched him play, look funny. But they're really, really effective in terms of getting shots off.
This week you have some unique challenges. You're on the road for the first time. You've got a short turnaround with the game on Tuesday night, and then also you've got a holiday on the back end of the week.
Yep. So
do you approach this week differently as a coach?
Not a great deal differently. I think actually the opposite. I would want to try to approach it as, even though it's a different week, to try to approach it as similarly to normal as possible, just so that the guys don't feel, sometimes changing something can communicate a message, right? So we want to hold the line to how we do things, even though there's a lot different. So obviously we took the day off yesterday. The NCAA requires you to take one out of every 7 days off, which we're doing. We take Sundays off because that fits with our institutional philosophy, which means we've got one practice today to prepare for Illinois Tech. But to be honest, the things that we need to do well aren't new. Our preparation is all about doing the things that we do consistently to the best of our ability. So from that perspective, it's not like we're presenting new material today in practice. The goal is let's get out here, make sure that we're in sync after a day off, make sure that we know their personnel, know the things that we need to focus on to beat them, and be ready to go when we hop on the bus tomorrow.
Early season, you're on a roll, you've got some momentum. How do you view that break? After Tuesday, you've got a weekend off. That's kind of rare, this time of year.
Yep.
How will you handle that stretch?
Yeah. We try to give the guys, we try not to schedule games on the Saturday after Thanksgiving, simply because it gives the players and coaches the opportunity to spend that time with their families, have them come back on Thursday evening, practice Thursday evening, Friday, and play Saturday. We'll come back on Monday, practice Monday, Tuesday, play Wednesday. And to be honest, after a really physically and mentally draining 6 weeks leading up to Thanksgiving, I actually think that time off is really, really healthy. It gives the guys a mental break, hopefully not a physical break. They need to be getting cardio in, need to be getting shots up, but they're going to come back maybe a little out of sync, but we've got practice time. We've got 2 practices to get back in sync, and I think the physical and mental rest is a really positive thing at this point in the season.
Anything else you want to touch on for this week or next?
No, I don't think so. I mean, excited with where our team is. Know we need to get better, and excited for that game Tuesday. I mean, it's our first road game. Playing on the road presents some different challenges than playing at home, and we're playing a team that's much improved over last year. So it's one I hope we compete hard. I think we can win if we execute the things we need to do and play to our ability. But what I'm hoping for is a good, solid road test from a talented and capable opponent on Tuesday, and we play hard and we'll see where it gets us.
All right, well, good.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah,
Have a
thanks,
good
George.
break.
Yeah, appreciate it. You too.